Is consciousness a field? Exploring the science behind our minds with an anesthesiologist, Christopher Voss, MD, MS, FCCP. As an anesthesiologist, I am constantly engaged with the mysteries of human consciousness. Whether I'm putting someone under general anesthesia for surgery or treating complex pain conditions with psychedelics like ketamine, I encounter the profound and elusive nature of consciousness daily. These experiences have led me to ponder whether consciousness could be more than just a product of the brain. Could it be a field, much like the fields of physics, that surrounds and permeates us all? I find these concepts particularly intriguing because they shed light on the thoughts and theories of Christian Neville Goddard, a mystic and teacher who explored the power of imagination and consciousness. In this video, I want to share with you some of the research and theories that explore this fascinating possibility in the modern era. The field theory of consciousness. Imagine your brain is like a radio. When you tune into a station, the radio doesn't create the music. It simply receives and plays it. In the same way, what if our brains are not the creators of consciousness, but rather receivers of a universal consciousness field? Think of consciousness as a vast ocean. Each of us is like a wave on this ocean, an individual manifestation of a much larger, deeper reality. The brain, in this analogy, is the force that shapes and directs the wave, but the wave itself is made of the same water as the entire ocean. Quantum consciousness theories. Some theories, like those proposed by physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff, suggest that consciousness might be linked to quantum processes within the brain's microtubules. This theory, known as orchestrated objective reduction, OR, posits that consciousness could be a result of quantum computations that are somehow connected to a universal field. However, this theory is highly speculative and not widely accepted in the scientific community. It's like the internet, an invisible network that connects millions of devices worldwide. Your computer or smartphone taps into this network, accessing vast amounts of information. Similarly, our brains might be tapping into a consciousness network that exists beyond the physical. The binding problem in neuroscience. The binding problem in neuroscience refers to the challenge of explaining how disparate neural processes combine to create a unified experience of consciousness. Some theorists suggest that this could be evidence of a field-like property of consciousness, where the brain acts as a receiver or transmitter of a broader, non-local field of consciousness. This idea, however, lacks empirical support and is more of a philosophical conjecture. Think of the brain as a conductor of an orchestra, bringing together different instruments, neural processes, to create a harmonious symphony, unified consciousness. But what if the conductor isn't just directing the music, but also receiving signals from an unseen source? The consciousness field. Panpsychism and consciousness as a fundamental field. Panpsychism is the view that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe, much like space, time, or mass. In this framework, consciousness could be seen as a field that pervades all of reality, with the brain acting as a focus or channel for this universal consciousness. While panpsychism is gaining some traction in philosophical discussions, it is not supported by direct scientific evidence. Consider the universe as a vast canvas, with consciousness being the paint that covers every inch of it. Each living being is a brushstroke, contributing to the larger picture, while also being part of the same material. Anomalous cognition and psi phenomena. Some parapsychological studies investigate phenomena like telepathy, remote viewing, and other forms of anomalous cognition. Proponents argue that these might suggest a non-local field of consciousness. However, the scientific consensus remains skeptical, as these phenomena have not been reliably replicated under controlled conditions. Imagine consciousness as a vast, interconnected web. Anomalous cognition would be like someone plucking a string on one side of the web, causing vibrations that can be felt on the other side. But just like a spider's web, detecting these vibrations requires extreme sensitivity and consistency, something that science has yet to reliably demonstrate. Introducing Rupert Sheldrake and morphic resonance. Enter Rupert Sheldrake, a biologist who introduced a fascinating concept called morphic resonance. Sheldrake suggests that there are non-material fields, morphic fields, that carry information across time and space, influencing both the form and behavior of living organisms. Think of morphic fields like a cosmic cloud storage system. Just as your photos and documents are saved in the cloud and can be accessed from any device, morphic fields store the memories, habits, and experiences of all living things, which can be accessed and built upon by others. Morphic fields and consciousness. In Sheldrake's view, consciousness could be linked to these morphic fields. Your mind might not be confined to your brain. Instead, it could be interacting with and contributing to a universal field of consciousness, a collective memory that influences us all. Consider how radio signals travel. Even when you're not listening, the signals are still all around you, ready to be picked up by a receiver. In the same way, consciousness could be a field that is always present, with our brains acting as the receivers that tune in to this field. Exploring the implications and criticisms. While these ideas are incredibly intriguing, it's important to note that they are still speculative. Mainstream science remains cautious about accepting theories like quantum consciousness, panpsychism, or morphic resonance, largely due to the lack of empirical evidence and the difficulty of testing these concepts. It's like trying to capture a rainbow in a jar. The beauty and wonder are there, but it's elusive and difficult to pin down in a way that satisfies scientific rigor, making sense of the mystery. So, how can we make sense of this mystery? Whether consciousness is a field, a wave, or something entirely different, what's clear is that it remains one of the most profound and puzzling aspects of our existence. Perhaps consciousness is like a song played across the universe, with each of us contributing a unique note. Together, we create a symphony that is more than the sum of its parts. Challenges to the brain-centric view of consciousness. The mainstream scientific view is that consciousness emerges from the brain's complex network of neurons and synaptic connections. However, several challenges and unresolved issues within this framework raise questions about whether the brain alone can account for consciousness. One significant challenge is the hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by philosopher David Chalmers. This refers to the difficulty of explaining how and why subjective experiences, our sensations, thoughts, and feelings, arise from physical processes in the brain. While neuroscience has made great strides in mapping brain activity, the subjective quality of consciousness, often referred to as qualia, remains unexplained. Additionally, certain neurological phenomena challenge the brain-centric view. For example, near-death experiences reported by some individuals include vivid, conscious experiences even when brain activity is minimal or absent, as seen in cases of cardiac arrest. While these accounts are anecdotal and controversial, they suggest that consciousness might not be entirely dependent on a functioning brain. Further complicating the issue is the phenomenon of neuroplasticity, where the brain can reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Some individuals with severe brain damage or removal of significant portions of the brain still retain full consciousness and cognitive abilities, suggesting that consciousness might not be as tightly linked to specific brain structures as previously thought. Quantum computing and consciousness. Quantum computing, a field at the cutting edge of technology, operates on principles that differ fundamentally from classical computing. Unlike classical computers that use bits as the smallest unit of information, which can be either 0 or 1, quantum computers use quantum bits or qubits, which can exist in multiple states simultaneously due to a property called superposition. This allows quantum computers to perform complex calculations at speeds far beyond the capabilities of classical computers. The principles of quantum computing, particularly superposition and entanglement, have led some theorists to draw parallels between quantum processes and consciousness. If consciousness involves quantum processes within the brain, as proposed by the Orch-OR theory, then it might be linked to a universal field similar to how qubits interact in a quantum computer. This connection is speculative, but it raises the possibility that consciousness could be more than just a product of the brain's neural networks. Moreover, the idea of quantum entanglement, where particles become linked and instantly influence each other regardless of distance, could be seen as a metaphor for the interconnectedness of consciousness across individuals, suggesting a field-like property. While quantum computing itself doesn't directly provide evidence for consciousness as a field, It does demonstrate how complex, non-classical processes can give rise to capabilities that far exceed those of classical systems. This could hint at the possibility that consciousness operates on principles we do not yet fully understand, possibly involving a field-like phenomenon. Conclusion. As we continue to explore the nature of consciousness, it's clear that the brain alone may not fully explain the depth and richness of our conscious experience. The possibility that consciousness could be linked to quantum processes or even a universal field opens new avenues of exploration, though these ideas remain speculative and controversial. These explorations into the nature of consciousness, in my opinion, resonate with the teachings of Neville Goddard, a mystic who delved deeply into the power of imagination and consciousness. Neville Goddard believed that our imagination is God in action, and that consciousness is the true reality behind all physical manifestations. We will explore his thoughts in a later video based on this discussion of consciousness. Could it be that consciousness, like quantum phenomena, transcends the classical boundaries we currently understand? Perhaps consciousness is indeed a field, an ever-present force that we are only beginning to glimpse through the veil of scientific inquiry. What do you think? Could consciousness be a field that we're all a part of? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with more thought-provoking content.